Major details have been revealed as to why Nick Nurse was fired yesterday from the Toronto Raptors. Masai Ujiri spoke out about big changes coming to the Toronto Raptors roster and a bunch of player updates, especially regarding Jeff Dowtin Jr., Otto Porter Jr., and basically the entire roster. We have a lot of news to break down in this video, so without further ado, let's jump to the first topic of discussion. The first thing we're taking a look at is the real reasons why Nick Nurse was fired. So for people that didn't hear, Nurse, the championship winning, the coach of the year winning Toronto Raptors head coach, has been fired by the organization. And while it wasn't a shock to some, I'm surprised they did it this early. I'm surprised it was this sort of blunt. They said he was fired. They're parting ways. There wasn't a mutual agreement or nothing. The Raptors fired him with 1 year left on his contract. And now a lot of details have been revealed as to why that was the case. And the first one being there wasn't a lot of alignment amongst the front office and Nick Nurse. Coming from The Athletic, Eric Koreen saying that the Nurse and the front office did not see eye to eye on player usage this year, especially when it came to some of the younger, less proven players on the roster. Rare is it the executive coaching pair is perfectly aligned, but this was notable, and the results were below everyone's expectations. And this was something that was clear to all Raptors fans watching the games this season. Nurse did not trust the younger players to come in there and take the load off of guys like Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam. I mean, the minutes got a bit better for Fred and our core five guys once we acquired Jakob Poeltl, but they were still, Nurse rarely ran deeper than a six-man rotation consistently on any given night. You might throw in a Malachi Flynn every second game. I guess Boucher, once we acquired Poeltl, he's pretty consistent, but Precious Achiuwa wasn't getting consistent run. A guy like Delano Banton barely saw the court, and just younger guys didn't get that opportunity to develop, and we'll talk about more about that on that regard from what Masai Ujiri had to say regarding this whole situation, but they didn't see eye to eye on that front, which makes sense as a fan of this team watching what played out. But even worse, some of the coaches' relationships have frayed as well. Gary Trent Jr. said after the season that he got used to the coach's criticism coming out in the media before Nurse told him in person. And players had issues with Nurse privately, according to Eric Koreen. So that is not a good look when you're coaching a team that you're trying to win games, you're trying to develop players, you're trying to do all this sort of stuff. And you can't have the media leaking criticism to your guys before you talk to them directly. No one likes to have themselves talked or badmouthed behind their back, especially from a coach that's supposed to be, dictating your minutes, supposed to be developing you, supposed to be pushing you in the right direction. So for criticism to be heard from the media, it's just a bad look. No matter how much of a brilliant brain Nick Nurse has in terms of schemes or whatever he's doing, even if they didn't execute all that well this season, right? If you can't manage relationships on that front, right, the basic things of telling people directly what they're doing wrong, then relationships are going to fray, and it's why visibly we're seeing the players just tuning out the messages from the front office and Nick Nurse about energy and all these sorts of things. So that was pretty messy there, and it goes a little bit deeper. As Grange basically put out an article saying that the Raptors coaching staff that every NBA team has a bloated coaching staff, but they weren't saying the same message directly to all the players, saying it's hardly uncommon for NBA staffs to have grown significantly in recent years, and keeping everyone on the same page can be a challenging exercise. But the fact that issues were common knowledge meant management was surely aware. So basically, the 9 coaches the Toronto Raptors have sitting on the bench, they were not all saying the same thing. And when you have different voices, the coaches are supposed to guide the team, put them in the right direction. But when you have different instructions coming from different guys on the bench, then that just gets messy. The players don't know what to do, and it gets overwhelming. Then people just start tuning them out when you're hearing different messages from a bunch of different coaches. I mean, I'm coaching club basketball. You got different coaches saying different things. It's hard to understand. So that's a bit messy, and basically, Nurse wasn't holding players accountable. According to Grange, that when it was time to for a shakeup, often it was Masai Ujiri who had to read the rioting act. Whether it was talking directly to a slumping Scotty Barnes, the growing selfishness problem in the organization that Masai Ujiri spoke on the team ahead of the deadline, and after the Raptors' lifeless loss to the Utah Jazz at home during the trade deadline, it was usually Masai Ujiri who directly talk to the organization or talk to the players about picking up their games, which isn't his job. It shouldn't be Masai Ujiri coming in and yelling at players and doing that. That's on the coach to hold the players accountable. So if Nurse isn't holding that part of the job, it makes sense why he was canned by Masai Ujiri and the team, no matter his resume, no matter his reputation. And Masai put it bluntly in his postseason press conference. This isn't coming from a report. He said this directly, that in regards to the players' development, I think the answer is no. He wasn't happy with the development of the young players. He would have liked them to get used more and a chance to sink or swim. We didn't do so well with that this year, and I think that hurt us in some developing our young players. So, player development, alignment with the front office, Nurse not holding guys accountable, Nurse not even talking to players directly. Those are all some of the real reasons that Nick Nurse ended up being fired. And I don't know, it's unfortunate because we know how good of a coach Nick Nurse can be with the right roster, with the right group. But given all these things, I feel a little bit better about the Raptors canning Nick Nurse than I did yesterday, where I felt, maybe it was just because he made some comments about him reflecting on his past and stuff. It seemed like it was time to move on from Nick Nurse, and I'm wishing him the best. I still think he's a great coach, but given all these reports, it makes sense why he ended up getting canned. But the next thing we're taking a look at is Masai Ujiri saying big changes are coming to the organization to this team, to basically everything. And I think that's clear, given we just fired our long-tenured head coach that won us a championship. But Josh Lewenberg put it this way, and then I'll dive into Masai's quote, saying that Fred VanVleet will opt out of his contract and join Jakob Poeltl and Gary Trent Jr. in unrestricted free agency. Siakam and Anunoby have been and continue to be featured in trade speculation. Outside of Scotty Barnes, who's coming off a disappointing follow-up to his rookie year campaign, everybody and everything is on the table this offseason, as it kicks into high gear ahead of the draft in late June and free agency at the beginning of July. So, Masai, it seems like everything's on the table. And I've heard rumblings about Siakam potential trade packages going down, and it makes sense. It makes sense. And Masai basically echoed this. Obviously, Masai's not going to come out and say, hey, might be trading everyone. Everyone's on the table. There's a fire sale happening. No, he's not going to say that directly, but he did maybe infer that a little bit, saying that I think changes are going to be made on all fronts, Masai Ujiri says. Lots of key players and free agency this summer, as Josh Lewenberg put it, but not, and we broke down, we're going to be talking about all the players that are available, all the rumors that are going to be coming out. So if Masai Ujiri's ready to pull the trigger on lots of moves, lots of shakeups, I'm happy. As said, I like our roster. I think we have a lot of talent, but I don't think Nick Nurse was the main reason the Raptors underachieved this season. I think roster construction was a big issue. I think we have a lot of talented guys. I don't want to bag on guys like Fred VanVleet, Gary Trent Jr., Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby. None of these dudes I'm not here to trash on or anything like that, but just the current fit of players hasn't worked out. So we're going to need to shake something up, get us some more shooting, get us some more playmaking, get us some more ball handlers and stuff. Probably keep Jakob Poeltl, but it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. But before you get everyone's hopes up, Masai Ujiri did say this, that you don't necessarily have to tear your team down in order to build it back up. Ujiri says he still believes in the players that they have, but we'll explore everything in the summer, from small tweaks to major roster changes. So he's not guaranteeing that there will be a fire sale, but he's not denying it, as we've seen Masai Ujiri do in the past. So it's going to be interesting to see what all shakes up. We'll keep you posted on any of the rumors, all the stuff that's coming out. But Masai did directly speak on two players during his end-of-season press conference, saying that the Raptors will likely be signing Jeff Dowtin Jr. back, and he talked about the future of Otto Porter Jr. as well. So, I got to update these chapters. But basically, Masai Ujiri came out and said regarding Jeff Dowtin Jr., the chapter's not going to pop up. This is unfortunate stuff here. But basically, he said Jeff Dowtin Jr., whatever happened at the end of the season, I don't have the quote to directly pull up, but they selected Will Barton over Jeff Dowtin Jr. to close out the year, chose him rather than giving Jeff Dowtin the two-way contract. But he said whether it was a mistake or not, it is what it is, but Jeff Dowtin Jr. will be a part of the future of this team's organization. So looks like Jeff Dowtin Jr. is a restricted free agent, will be brought back, and I think it will be on an actual contract. So hopefully that happens, as I'm a big Jeff Dowtin Jr. guy. And he also said that the expectation is to bring back Otto Porter Jr. for next year, which might frustrate a lot of Raptors fans, given the fact he played like 5 games this last season. And even though he's a very talented player, we were all really excited about Otto Porter Jr. coming in, being a shooter, being a strong defender. He just won an NBA championship, but injuries have been the thing that really have held Otto back from thriving in his NBA career. But if he can have a healthy season next year, I wouldn't be opposed to bringing him back. But he has a player option, so it's likely he will be returning to this team, because we can't really trade him, as he didn't. His trade value is absolutely in the toilet after him basically not playing this entire year. So look for Otto Porter Jr. and Jeff Dowtin Jr. to be back on the roster next season. And the final thing that we're taking a look at in this vid, or do I have I do have the quotes. Basically, my bad on that. Pressing the wrong buttons. The new setup is distracting me. But Barnes' summer will also be different this year. But Jeff Dowtin Jr. is coming back, and Ujiri said the plan is for Porter to be a part of the roster next season. He's still recovering from surgery. No big updates in regards to his injury situation right there, but he'll likely be back, hopefully healthy going into next year. So those two guys will likely be returning. The final thing we're talking about is an update on Nick Nurse coaching Team Canada. And even though a lot of Raptors fans wanted him gone from this organization, given all how bad we looked at the close of this year, a lot of Canadians want to see Nick Nurse still be the head coach, as he's by far the best coach, the most established coach that we've had in Team Canada history, I think. Leo Routen's gotten some love, and Jay Triano was there, but Team Canada released this statement saying that Canada Basketball's senior men's national team coach Nick Nurse are focused on this summer's FIBA Basketball World Cup and qualifying for the pair's 2024 Olympic Games. Nurse will continue to coach, be our head coach as we work to achieve our goals this summer and next. So that's good news for Team Canada Basketball. Nurse will be staying, despite the fact that he was ended up firing from the Canadian team that likely got him that opportunity and stuff. Nurse will continue to be the coach of FIBA, the Team Canada, and I believe he's under contract till maybe 2026. He's under contract or 2024. I'm not sure the specific year, but that's good news. That's good news for this Team Canada team. But we're going to keep you updated on everything regarding the Toronto Raptors in the next few days. Again, studio's a little bit different. I'm in the middle of a little bit of a move, so camera might not be as high quality, but the videos, they're going to keep coming. If you guys want to stay up to date, definitely subscribe to the Raptors Digest. Anyways, it's enough of me rambling. You guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.